The title of my presentation is Key Findings of the Research Paper. To begin, I have given the definitions of marriage and culture as defined by our textbook, Introducing Cultural Anthropology. Marriage is a publicly recognized social or legal union that creates a socially sanctioned context for sexual intimacy and establishes the parentage of children and creates kinship. Culture is the total way of life of a group of people. My definition of cross-cultural marriage is a union between two people from different cultures who come together to establish the above-stated contexts. One of the most important things to consider before committing to a biblically founded cross-cultural marriage is the will of God. By waiting on Him and praying for His will to be done, God will show His perfect plan and direction for the intents of a cross-cultural marriage. Elizabeth Adams from Boundless.org states, "It took a lot of patience and prayer to become a couple," and she also states that they, her and her spouse, waited and they prayed. The importance of prayer and patience in the stage of life before marriage is crucial for the durability of the potential marriage relationship. Another important aspect that differentiates between a same-cultural marriage and a cross-cultural marriage is the aspect of cultural background differences. Throughout each spouse's life, they likely experience many differences in upbringings, daily life, typical expectations, rules, and standards. Harold L. Arnold from Focus on the Family states that it is important to summarize highlights of how the couple met, as well as the challenges posed by their different cultural backgrounds. Typically, soon-to-be married couples will have various concerns and questions about how life will really work because of their cultural differences in upbringing. The author from the article from Christian Today states, "Because of our very different cultural backgrounds, I have more than a few concerns about what challenges we would face in marriage. These concerns are normal in any cross-cultural marriage or potential marriage. However, when both spouses claim to have a relationship with God, He will help them throughout the course of their marriage to come together and understand and love each other despite all differences." To continue on with the idea of differences in cultural backgrounds, Barbara Jandu from the Cultural Counseling Center in San Jose states that partners may also come from different socioeconomic backgrounds or religions. It is typical that soon-to-be spouses will be from different social class regions, and they may as well come from different religion or denominational backgrounds. However, even though the differences far outweigh the similarities between people of different cultures, through careful prayer and patience, God will make His will known. Once a cross-cultural couple has been married, they will likely begin, if they haven't so already, to consider some spiritual help in promoting activities outside of regular church attendance. Harold Arnold from Focus on the Family gives an example of his marriage when he states, "It was clear that being present with Christ's love to these couples through their communication lapses, unhealthy boundaries, poor conflict resolution, and selfish attitudes was the most spiritual intervention that we could offer. And these are all areas that God had given us tremendous growth through the culture clashes of our marriage." Harold Arnold and his wife decided to begin marriage mentoring, which in turn helped improve their relationship with each other substantially. When this couple began marriage mentoring, which was a core value of their particular church, they were able to build their relationship with God as well. Another very important aspect of married life among any couple, but especially a cross-cultural couple, is the decisions and choices for how to raise the children. Will the children be raised in a culture similar to mom or dad? Which language will they speak? Where will the family live? Which grandparents will get to see the grandchildren more often? These are all serious questions to consider when choosing the best way of life for a family. The author from the article from Christian Today states, "I had a question about family and extended family, what they expected and how we would manage that expectation, children, and how we would raise them." This author explains how he had worries and concerns with how everything would work out in his marriage. Jeremy from NotOnlyOnSundays.com gave examples of more important questions. Are you prepared to raise your children in both cultures and languages? Understanding both cultures is a definite advantage. Our textbook states that the definition of historical particularism is an early anthropological theory that argues that each culture embodies a unique representation of its history and context. This term relates to the culture in which newly married couples will choose to raise their children. Through cross-cultural marriage, couples are allowing their children to represent both cultures uniquely. For a biblical marriage to continue, whether that be same or cross-cultural marriage, the centrality of Christ and prayer must remain. Harold Arnold states, "They emphasize the importance of prayer, asking God's help to prioritize His will over their own cultural reactions." A certain couple that he knew lived by these principles and appeared to have a steady and lasting marriage relationship. Prayer is one of the most important things to keep central in a marriage, regardless of if it's cultural or not. With prayer, each spouse is able to get closer to God and to each other. One of the most important aspects of a biblical and godly marriage to keep in mind is the unity the couple has in Christ. In the Bible, marriage is portrayed as a representation of Christ's relation with the church. Even as Christ is the head of the church, so is the husband the head of the wife. This unity, however, between a man and wife is something of notable importance throughout the Bible as well. The author from the article from Christian Today states, "We both share a deep belief in and love of Christ, and as such we share many common values and beliefs. It is this foundation of Christ which effectively unifies us in our marriage. Two people with completely different upbringings from intensely divergent cultures who, in Christ, have the same desires, values, and moral grounding." Jeremy from NotOnlyOnSundays.com states, "Sharing a common faith should be what really holds the marriage together. When God is put at the heart of the marriage, everything else falls into its proper perspective." Overall, the main focus of a Christian marriage should be Christ. This oneness in Christ is then able to bring the man and wife closer together. Spiritual growth is yet another very important aspect of a godly marriage. In order for spiritual growth to occur within a marriage, the couple must first understand the reason for their beliefs in God. The foundational belief of any Christian couple should be that God is at the center of life, that He created life, and that all people came from Him. Our textbook gives the definition of monogenesis as the view that all humans originate from a single creation of God. Some of our other authors give examples of advice for spiritual growth within a marriage relationship as well. Jeremy from NotOnlyOnSundays.com states, "You make sure that you're both growing in your faith too, and that you're encouraging each other along the way." And Elizabeth Adams states, "We truly feel that because both of us are Christians and we both want to love and obey Jesus, our core values and beliefs are the same. Our faith in Christ allows us to become one because Christ transcends the culture." Overall, whether it is a cross-cultural marriage or not, the center of a biblical and godly marriage is Christ. When a couple chooses to reflect Christ, He will bring them together and glorify Himself through their marriage. For the Christian, marriage is seen as pure, created by God, and a representation of Christ in the church.